Thanks for coming. See now okay. What's your favourite? Not porn.
Thanks again for tuning into our podcast. Fuck no.
Kia ora te whānau and welcome back to Why Should We Give a F, our fake podcast where we explore different topics with experts and uncover why rangatahi should care about them. I'm Tamia, I'm from Ngāti Kaingunu, Ngāi Te Kauaha me Te Aroa. This is Grayson, Soraya and Paul, and I'll hand it over to Paul.
Kia ora Tamia. Today we have a very special guest with us, Soraya Kamau, also known as Auntie Ray's pretty much the wānanga auntie. Soraya descends from the rangatira, Rongomaiwahine, and we're privileged to be here at her marae Te Rākatō. Soraya's background is in education, youth work, and mental health and addictions. She is deeply passionate about performing arts in pūrākau. After completing mahi a atua training, she has been drawing on pūrākau as a way to affirm whakapapa and re-indigenising spaces such as mental health and addiction services. Her approach creates spaces that resonate with and connect more meaningful to rangatahi Māori. So we're incredibly lucky to have her with us today to kōrero about why we should give a F about pūrākau. Kia ora. So a question that I like to start us off with tonight is, what made you want to get into mental health and addictions?
Oh, just starting off deep. Just get right in there. You don't even ask what my favourite colour is. You're just like, tell us about your childhood trauma. No, I'm totally joking. Kia ora whānau. Thank you for having me. What drew me to... So, not childhood trauma. I had the most beautiful childhood. You know, you guys know. That's why we bring you to Mā here. But I guess that it was my privilege that drew me to wanting to work in mental health and addictions, because I was surrounded in it. Obviously I didn't realise as a child, but, you know, we had whānau that were suffering, and I was always that tangianga for our whānau. And I guess after a while, actually it was when I was about 17 years old, I lost someone. Our community lost a rangatahi to whakamomori. And it really, you know, we're all tight in it. Like, we're tight, like you guys, you know, like we're all tight as, and it really it shook me to the core. And up until that point, I was going to go be a lawyer. I was going to get paid to argue. I wanted to be the next, like, hana, and you know, in Parliament, you know. And then that happened, and I was like, oh, I really don't want to go through this again, and I really don't want any of my whānau to go through this again. And so I guess common word we use, I pivoted in my career. And I thought to myself, I want to go and I want to learn about how our brain works and how trauma, or not even trauma, just how our childhood can influence the way we think and see the world. And I want to remind rangatahi Māori that we have like the most outrageously beautiful, most privileged whakapapa, and that through that we can navigate through any distress, through any raru, you know. So I guess that's what drew me to it, was my privilege, because that was my upbringing. My mum and dad and my nanny, my papas, my nannies, and this marae ensured that I knew how cool I was. Obviously, no. But yeah, ensured that I knew about my superpower and my tātai whakapapa. And so therefore, when we went through something and our whānau member forgot that made me go, oh, I'm gonna work every day to ensure that they never forget that again. And that's what I do. So that's why I'm here. So a very long-winded answer to be like, I had the greatest upbringing, and I just want people to realise how awesome and lucky we are to be Māori. And I'm not getting emotional, I've just wānanga buzz, hey guys. This is by Ray's wānanga voice, third day in. Doing great.
Yeah, that was actually really, it was deep, but You make it not sound
You
deep.
started deep.
Like Paul started deep.
Yeah. Who wrote these questions? No. Oh, cool. Thanks, Palms. Yeah, because I think that it's, you know, mental health, addiction, it's a hard conversation to have, you know. But, and we're not trying to normalise the issue. You know, we're not trying to normalise suicide. We're not trying to normalise addiction. We're not trying to normalise distress. We're trying to normalise the conversation around it.
Yeah.
And that, you know, there's an old saying that goes, it's not weak to speak. Hey, and so I guess that's one thing I know I'm good at, is talking. But I know that I'm fortunate that I can make other people feel comfortable to talk deep stuff, eh, Grace? Me and you, mean DMs, you know, like.
Always.
But it's good for the wairua. It's good for the soul. Hey, so yeah, thanks.
So, I just want to know, this is a random question, is that, like, did you learn about all of the pūrākau you know before, like when you were a child or when you grew up?
That is such a cool question. Honestly, that is, because it makes me go, yeah, when did I start learning pūrākau? And then I'm like, am I just been talking shit my whole life? No, jokes. No. I come from a whānau of storytellers. My nan was an amazing storyteller. Her brothers, amazing storytellers. And so pūrākau was definitely something that was always embedded in us. But pūrākau from here, you know, Rongomaiwahine, kahununu, te raka tō, the siege of Kaiuku, you know, all those stories. So I've always been drawn to pūrākau. And I guess I knew the basics, you know, I knew about rangi and papa and tāne mahuta ninja kicking, papa rangi nui into the sky, you know, all that stuff. And so I always enjoyed them, you know, the stories of Maui. But it wasn't until I guess it was, I can't remember the year and I don't want to say it because it shows how old I am. Pre-COVID, it was pre-COVID, I remember that much. I was fortunate to work so I'd always worked in mental health, but at that stage of my life, I switched to kaupapa Māori mental health. And as mentioned in my awesome intro, there's an awesome kaupapa called Mahia Atua. It's a fully endorsed approach, mental health approach, created by Dr. Diane Rangihona and Uncle Mark Kopua from the coast there. And they share all those pūrākau with the lens of, you know, I guess, dissecting our mental distress. And that's where I was like, that's why I've been drawn to pūrākau. Because pūrākau makes you feel less lonely in this world. Like when you learn a story of your tūpuna and you hear, you know, like, that's why you boys love hearing stories of kahununu. Hey, because you hear it and you're like, oh, that's where I get my cheekiness from. Or in Paul's case, he's like, oh, that's why I'm so handsome. No, you know. But we feel less lonely. And the things that maybe we've been made fun of before or made to feel, you know, alien-like for, all of a sudden makes us feel proud. You know, I remember being made fun of when I went to, I won't say what school, but I went to this, you know, quite a Pākehā high school. And I remember someone making a really, really dumb and poor-tasted joke about Māori, poor is the joke, about Māori believing we come on the whales in the waka. You know, but they made a joke about it, and I thought to myself, like, that's actually a really, like, now that I'm an adult, I'm like, if someone had said that to me now, I would turn around and be like, yeah, my tūpuna navigated that, like, animals.
Yeah.
You know, had the ability to follow animals and signs and the taiao and come here thousands and thousands of kilometres across the Pacific. Like, you can't make fun of me for that. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Meanwhile, your tūpuna is still out here trying to create a culture. But anyway, that's another kōrero for another day. But, you know, I think that's, so, definitely brought up with pūrākau, but not the pūrākau I share now. Okay. It's been, that was taught to me as an adult and with a lens of, mental distress and using it to navigate through, not even just mental distress, using it to navigate through life. Yeah. Hey.
So just, I don't want to go in too deep, too deep. But like with that mental distress stuff, how do you think like pūrākau can help with gambling specifically?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Damn, no jokes. So I have been thinking about this because I know that with our kaupapa, with TM, wanting to support more anti-gambling kaupapa, I've been thinking about that. And I think what pūrākau how I look at it is like, pūrākau teaches us about all these different responses that our atua had to situations, like, Whiro being upset and hurt because his brothers wanted to separate his parents. Tāwhiri Mātia going into a fit of rage. Tāne Mahuta staying cool, calm and collected. We have, I think what pūrākau teaches us in reference to gambling is that our tūpuna, the ones that were thoughtful and mindful and like had forward focus, they did really well. Like Tāne Mahuta's the man, Tūmataonga's the man, and a lot of the pūrākau around those atua show those traits that they weren't. They just were. How do I explain this? They were just smarter in what are they? They were critical. That's the word. They were critical. They were critical in their decisions. They thought about, if I do this, then this might happen. So maybe I should not do that. You hear what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you hear stories of like Whiro, and he's quite destructive. And I think even Tāwhiri Mātia, Tāwhiri Mātia went into a fit of rage and pulled his eyes from his head, threw them in the sky. Yeah, we get matariki. Tāwhiri Mātia's still blind.
Yeah.
So in reference to gambling, I think what the lesson that our pūrākau teaches us is that our atua, the ones that we praise and we want to be like, we're critical and thoughtful and forward and future focused. I don't imagine Tāne Mahuta would have been a gambler.
Yeah.
Because he would have, been critical in his decision. He would have, even when you look at how he took chances, but he didn't gamble.
Yeah.
When we think about gambling, the issue with it is that you're taking from your entire whānau, eh? Yeah. It's how people are doing it, eh? That's the issue. If we could trust that whānau members would only spend $5 in the pokie machine, then we wouldn't be sitting here saying it's an issue.
Yeah.
But we know the reality in our community so that our whānau can't stop at $5. They put $5 in and they lose it, and then they just hope that the next $5 is going to bring them back 10, and they hope that the next $10 is going to bring them back 20. And sometimes they crack it, but 9 times out of 10 they don't.
Yeah.
And with using Tāne Mahuta as an example, Tāne Mahuta didn't gamble. Like the way I looked at him is he didn't gamble with anything other than he didn't take chances on things that would hurt his greater whānau.
Yeah.
So when I think about how Tāne Mahuta created the first woman, there's that funny kōrero around how he went and mated with different various things. And I always give our boys, a bit of shit, because I'm like, that's where you get that thinking with that head and not this head, But that, what he was doing, he wasn't, going out and mating with those various different things he had created. That wasn't hurting tūmataonga. That wasn't hurting Whiro. That wasn't hurting Paia. It was something that he was, that essentially it was only his domain that he was, for lack of better words, gambling with, Yeah. And then, so I guess that's a really long answer, but yeah, what I'm trying to say is that what I've seen in pūrākau is our atua, the ones that led the separation were so thoughtful, so forward focused that I don't imagine they would be gamblers. Where our atua that were like, let's just, maybe they would have been, because they were a bit more, their thoughts were a bit more intrusive, they were a bit more reactive. They didn't quite think out the bigger picture, like Tāwhiri Mātia.
Yeah.
If Tāwhiri Mātia had really thought about the effects of what he was doing, then maybe he wouldn't have done it. So yeah, that's how I look at it. Because I can't tell you, and I mean there could be maybe one of your listeners or someone that definitely probably is talking out there that would probably say, there is, pūrākau around gambling. But what I love about pūrākau is that it makes you look at everything with a like really critical lens, because you think to yourself, what am I learning from this? What was the lesson from this? So you can pretty much link anything into pūrākau, like even gambling, like what I just did there, you know, like.
Yeah,
But
that
and
was
that's not just
impressive.
off the cuff. That's me thinking about, you know, what because honestly, Te Ao Māori, our tūpuna, they knew what we were going to have to go through, and they left us all of the answers. And then colonisation. No. But, you know, like our tūpuna left us all the lessons. They left us everything we needed to know. And like, it's in our pūrākau. It's right there, and we just got to just dive into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so with your experience and knowledge, what do you actually think makes gambling attractive? Like, why is it such a big issue?
Well, fun fact, pokies, if you didn't know what the pokies machine, and you guys shouldn't know this because, well, maybe Paul might. He's about my age. No. But I learnt this as a child because I grew up in the pub. And I learnt that the machines, because they go like this. I'm going like this because when you watch them on the screen, they're like dials. Or that's actually a type of like hypnotizes us. So there's actually a psychological, you know, trigger there too, just from looking at the images. Similar to when a baby watches TV and they become addicted to the TV. Yeah. So that's just a fun fact about the old pokey machines. I think it's fast money. I think our whānau live in poverty, and the idea that chuck $2 in this machine or put $2 on that horse or you know, go to the casino and play some cards and you can double your money like that. I think we get a bit excited. I think that I always blame it on colonisation, but I think we've
that's a major
forgotten
part.
who we are a bit. You know, I always get a bit upset when I hear our rangatahi saying, "Oh, I'm bored," but that, you know, rangatahi aren't the only ones that are bored, and I think that's another reason why people tend to turn to things like gambling, online gambling. I think we don't realise how much it's embedded in us, and then it just kind of transfers as adults. So like when we play our games on our phones, even though it's all fake, you know, fake money and it's whatever, that's a habit that we build. Yeah, you know, that's a habit that we build within us, and then all of a sudden we now want to go and, you know, why not chuck $2 in the machine or whatever. I think another one, and I really debated about talking about this, is that a lot of our like you know, we sit in this te raka tō marae. This was fundraised for, So we ran like $100 raffles and $1,000 raffles and housing nights. And in retrospect, when I think about it, well, it is. That's gambling.
Yeah, it is.
Hey,
It's
that's gambling.
Yeah.
And I think that's another part, is that a lot of our marae, a lot of our kaupapa, a lot of Māori kaupapa were established on fundraising money, that we had to use the likes of money gambling to bring the money in, you know? And so it's been normalised in a sense, you know, even, and I won't mention the marae, but there's a marae in Wellington, they have housey cards in their whare as part of the carvings. And it's cool because that's their way of acknowledging that they used to run housing nights for like years to get their marae up. So there's a kōrero behind it, but you know, once again, it's like, it's still gambling. It's still gambling.
Very much gambling.
Yeah, you know, so I think that's a big part of it too, is that we've been doing it for years, and it's hard. It's hard to, you know, look at yourself in the mirror and go, shit, maybe we need to think of other ways to make money. You know, maybe we need to, you know, get some meat, or, you know, like that's a really fast, easy way to fundraise. I know, because
Very convenient.
it's convenient as, and whānau members, you know, when you go, oh, I'm having a $100 raffle, $5 tickets, they feel better about it because they go, oh, well, I'm giving to Grayson. I'm giving to the kaupapa. But as we have to acknowledge, it's gambling.
It's straight up gambling.
So I'm not, you know, and I don't say that to takahi on anyone's mana or anyone's marae, like, shout out to Te Rakato, join $100, you know. No, like, I don't, but, you know, you asked the pātai and that's my whakaaro, is that I think, like a lot of the issues that us as Māori face, it's been normalised. And yeah, maybe we just need to take a step back and hold that mirror and, you know, do a bit of deep and meaningful kōrero with ourselves. But yeah.
You're good, eh? Holy.
Shut up, Kristen. You can always give me a big head, mate.
Who's your favourite intern?
Paul's like, so it says in your intro that you had 15 interns.
4 years ago, it's my which one was your favourite? Not Paul. No. Which one got a job at Toi Mataro? So there's your bloody answer. Took my job.
I think it's pretty obvious why we should give an F about pūrākau. But yeah, going down the line, Tamia, just wanted to ask you what's your favourite pūrākau and why?
So pretty much most of my pūrākau have come from Rays.
Like, so cool. Yeah,
My bedtime stories. Yeah, but my favourite one is actually Uru Kiangangana's one. I don't know why, it's just like...
Mine. What? Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't actually know why, but that's my favourite.
Cool. I love you. I love you.
Still mine. Okay, we'll do the separation scoop. No, separation story. Because it shows courage. And
Bars.
you've been hanging with the boys too much. You've been hanging with the boys too much, Trace. Holy.
Cool.
But yeah,
That's cool.
Your separation story.
Dude, should I go next?
Yeah,
With me or we no. I love the story of Uru, and I'm so not surprised. Like, I'll tell you, rangatahi love that story because it reminds them. Yeah, it reminds them about the light they have. And I think in this kaupapa, and I'm stealing this from Sis, this is a famous quote from Sis, and she said it when she was a rangatahi. And obviously she said it like this: you were so surrounded by light. And yeah, so and then honestly, every kaupapa we do, I've been sharing that Uru story for years, and every time they're like, "That's my favourite story," and I'm like, "That's beautiful," because you know, Uru is a forgotten brother. Hey, jokes on him now. It's like the most favourite, you know, bedtime story in Women Toi Motorua. So yeah, I guess you kind of stole mine too, but I actually, oh man, I love all of them, but in recent years, I've really loved the story of the creation of Hene Ahune. Yeah, because I grew up in Mahia, all the boys got to do all the cool stuff. You get to a certain age, all of a sudden you can't swim for 1 week of a month, and got to wear these things under your t-shirts, and can't get tackled too hard, and I used to really like takahi on the traits of a wahine and the physical traits especially, and then that pūrākau, I always make that joke like to us as wahine that 70 plus atua made us. Hey, wahine. Still trying to figure out where the men come from. But yeah, I think that pūrākau, because it reminds us that as wahine we should be proud of who we are, who we descend from, and that everything was intentionally made. But it also reminds our tāne about the gift of wahine, and that Tāne Mahuta made us, intentionally with his brothers. So, if you're hōhai us, go kōrero Tāne Mahuta about it, eh? Not my fault I'm like this. Not my fault, just saying. I'm perfect, no. April, no. What's your favourite pūrākau?
I actually got a karakia for of Hene Ahune.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, can I have that?
Yeah, we made it like a couple of days ago.
Who made it?
Earlier in the.
Oh my gosh, like, this is why I love pūrākau. Because honestly, you put in the universe and then the universe is like, oh, you like Hene Ahune? Here's a karakia bed. Hey, and then the universe is like, and your rangatahi wrote it. Like, far out.
There we go.
That's also called mahi atua. And if you haven't done that training, get there quick. No, sorry, just another punch.
I'm going up the track here a little bit. Nah, still on the track. But a pūrākau that I've always been fascinated with was the pūrākau of the Battle of the Mountains.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, we've heard of that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, you know, there's a pretty cool book about it, and it's the first moment I kind of gave thought like a maunga or mountain or anything as a tangata
Kia ora.
before. Like I still refer to them as them, like
Yeah, just like
not it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also all the buzzy kōrero that come with all those iwis, maungas.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was very fascinating.
Yeah, no, that is a cool one.
Sweet, what that's sweet.
Very colourful.
Yeah.
Talk about the book.
I didn't think he's one very
The kids just got,
Yeah,
it's
no.
got pictures in it.
That is a good one. Yeah, cool. Kia ora.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you, Reese, for having us
Good.
for this kōrero. It's been actually a really good conversation.
You know, I love talking.
Okay, cool. Well, that's us. It's Te whānau. What's next?
So, yeah.
Well, thanks again for. Do you want to do it, Chris?
We are.
Easy.
Well, thanks again for tuning into our podcast. Fuck no.
Okay, fine, I'll do it. Okay, that's us. No. Okay, whānau, thanks for coming. See, now okay, here we go. Okay, whānau, typical Auntie Ray's has to take over and do the endings. I just want to thank you guys for having me. It was so cool. First podcast, like I said, I've cracked it. And thanks for tuning in to all the viewers out there. Go and immerse yourself in pūrākau. And, and yeah, that's us. Te i rua torupa.